Good morning everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. I have woken up with a little bit of Darryl's cold. I'm hoping that it passes nice and quickly because I have a really busy week. So it is Sunday morning. I'm not sure exactly what this video is going to cover, but it'll probably just be a bit of an all over the place video, and then we'll continue with all the cooking stuff that I've been doing previously. I was going to make some English muffins this morning so that we could top up the freezer with them for the kids while I'm gone, but we have leftover scrolls and dinner last night, which I don't know if you'll see that video before this one, so we've got leftovers anyway. And so I don't want to make English muffins because I want to get through the leftovers first. So I'll make them tomorrow morning so that they can have them for lunch tomorrow. But then also we can freeze, so I do a double batch. We can freeze one of the batches split in half, and they can use them as open-faced pizzas or toasted with jam or whatever they want over the week that I'm not going to be as actively available because I have work Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm going to be leaving Thursday, back Saturday. So I'm going to be a bit absent. So I need to get their schoolwork for the week written up as well, earlier than normal. So I've got to do that. So I decided, because there's plenty of leftovers, they don't need the English muffins today, but I do want them in the freezer before I leave. So I will do that tomorrow morning probably. Darryl is off at church this morning. He does 2 different services once a month. So he's at Lorcan and MILLMERRAN today, and he has a meeting at the church afterwards. And then after that, he is going to go and pick up the half a cow. So what I might do with this video is include just the layout of the half a cow, and then tomorrow is going to be splitting and vacuum sealing and freezing and stuff as well. So we'll get the English muffins done first thing in the morning, and while they're all sorting, we'll get all the beef sorted for the day. I think that's how it's going to work. So I need to think about anything else that I want to get done today because I'm not going to have much time to do anything else tomorrow. So I do need to make a new batch of chili oil because I think I used the last of it the other day, and so that gives them another option to use while I'm gone. But also lets me have a look and assess my inventory on those items that I use to make chili oil. So if I use all the peanuts up to make it or whatever else, then I know what else I need to buy. So I like to make those things that are due to be made just before I go shopping so that when I do my inventory, it's a bit more accurate as to what I've done. While I'm in Brisbane, the hope is to buy a couple of those tool trolleys that I've mentioned a few times. So I've noticed how bad this corner is getting out of control every time I turn the camera around to face the oven, and then if I walk away from the oven, you can see the mess behind me. And there just hasn't been a whole lot we have been able to do about it. There's a lot of stuff stacked that is very intermittently used, so it gets grubby in between uses, but I just wash it as I use it. And it has ended up on the ground in front of the shelves instead of on the shelves. But again, it's like canning pots and things like that, and I just wash them before I use them. It's just the way it's been. But it's driving me nuts. So I was looking at the tool trolleys, but funds have just been a little bit limited, and we haven't got the roof sorted yet. So I was putting it off, but I don't think I can put it off any longer. We need to figure out this roof, but in the meantime, I still need to be able to function in this space. So I was going to buy them from a business that has a pickup in Lorcan home, but I don't know if I will manage to organise that. I may end up just buying them from Bunnings. They're not quite the same. The layout of the drawers versus cupboards and stuff is different. I'll have to make a decision. I do need to buy them on interest free because we just do not have the cash available because of the half beast that we're picking up today. That money was sort of earmarked for that, but we need to pay for the half beast, and that was our decision to make. But I have plenty of interest free available to use because we use it, then I pay it off, and that's, some people agree with it, some people don't. It works for us. It works it works better for me to budget through paying off the interest free than it does for me to be able to hold the money to be able to purchase, to do a large purchase. It's just the way my budget works and the way it works in this household. So I have interest free paid down and I can use that to purchase them. So I'm looking at that and trying to decide what I will shift around when I do that and where I want those. We have discussed this, obviously we need to fix this roof, but we've discussed extending the space out past the bathroom. So the part that you can see at the end here that has the shade cloth down on it, it stops just where the building starts, and the building is 3 meters wide. So that 3 meters is actually the bathroom window. Now, the bathroom gets really hot in summer because that wall gets sunlight all morning. So what we have been talking about doing is putting an overhang, an awning on that wall anyway. And we were thinking about the fact that the smoker and that, at the moment the smoker's out the back door, which is quite a significant distance from where I am, because we had it here, but because we've got the walls up and stuff now, it would just smoke me out. So we put it out on the back patio to use when we used it recently, and we've got it covered with a tarp, but that's not ideal either. I want it accessible because the whole point is that we upgraded the smoker so I could use it more, and I've been using it less because it's not as accessible. So what we're thinking about doing is putting the awning against the building this direction and taking the fence line all the way to that back fence, and then that way I would have an extra space that I could put the smoker and hopefully eventually a wood stove. If you've been around long enough, you know we've bought a couple of them and none of them have ended up having all the pieces needed to put them together, and it's all been a little bit too hard. So but the smoker could go there. That's the plan anyway. So things need to be shifted around regardless, and some of the shelving could be shifted, and I don't know yet. I'm still working on it. I did buy some very cool containers. I'll grab one to show you. These were actually from Kogan, but a lot of places sell them. I just happened to get free shipping at Kogan, so I did Kogan. Now, these have a front flap and have stuff in them. They do not seal. There is gaps everywhere and nothing is sealed. Like it's clipped down, but it's not, it's not airtight or anything. But I didn't want that for these. I didn't want these for open products. I wanted it for things that are stored in bags. So like this one happens to have some semolina in it. Now, I have semolina in a jar, but the jar that I use, the bags don't always fit completely in it. But I also have a second or third bag of semolina. At all times, like I have a backup bag. So things like that. This one, I haven't finished sorting them. I managed to get 10 of them. And they're working quite well for certain things. Dried noodles, I have my cocoa bags in there. I have some dried spices that haven't gone in jars. Things like that are being stored in these. And it works. They get dirty on the top, like everything in this house. They have a recess. So it gets dirty. That's just general usage in our environment. But it's keeping what's in it clean, and that's the main thing. And I know people get shirty at me about the amount of dust that's on like the buckets which have food in them and stuff like that. They do get wiped down, but I'm just not that worried. It's just sand. That's basically all it is sand from around the house that is being spit up. Now, I'm just using a dry cloth here to wipe it clean, and obviously it's not going to be completely clean because it's a dry cloth. But if I use a wet cloth on here, I then have to make sure it's dry. Otherwise, it's going to end up twice as dirty as it already was. So anyway, people have whatever. These will get a little bit of dust and dirt in them through the gaps. They will collect a little bit of dust and dirt in the tops, but they stack too. That recess spot, it actually stacks. So these are going to work really well. I think I'm going to buy a few more to store stuff in. Things like my canning lids and stuff. At the moment, I have them in like little containers, and the lids on those are disgusting as well. But you have to, because I've got the containers stacked, you have to like unstack the containers to open them to get to the different size lids. Whereas if I had something like this and they're stacked but they're accessible, then that would work too. So I did have a version of these that were flower containers. It was like years ago. It was from Aldi, I think. They had it might have been a decor brand or something. Similar sort of a concept. They had a flap and you could scoop your flour out and stuff. That didn't work because any dust that built up on here, every time you opened the flap, the dust fell into the open goods inside. So I was already aware of the fact that this was not going to be pristine, that it's going to have dust that falls inside it, that it's going to have dust that builds up on top of it, but I still think it's a worthwhile access for me because I like open shelving. The whole point is that I don't want closed shelving. I don't want doors on my shelving. I don't like that. I like open shelving. I like to be able to see what I've got. I like to be able to assess an inventory by scanning my shelves, not having to open cupboards and move everything around to see it. So anyway, these containers are quite good. If I remember, I'll put a link to them, or someone remind me if they want a link and I haven't done it, but they were from Kogan. Actually got them on the bottom shelf of a set of shelves that are out of sight over there that have a whole bunch of things on them, and I don't actually like them on the bottom shelf because they're too hard to see into when they're stacked and stuff. So I'm thinking that they would probably be better off behind me, but if they're on the shelving behind me, then there's going to need to be some backing on the shelving, even if it's just some cardboard for the moment until we get a wall built there, because I don't want the sun shining into the plastic containers and then creating heat, which will create moisture inside the containers. So yeah, figuring that out. But I do want to get the barbecue out. So the barbecue is still over on the edge and it doesn't work at all. It got so well used that parts of the burners and guards rusted away. So I want to remove that out of here, and that's where one of those trolleys will go, and our new pizza ovens will go on that. That's the plan anyway. And then one potentially behind me that can have things like the dehydrator and the vacuum sealer and things like that, that at the moment I have to move things to get to, and so I just don't sometimes. I want them more easily accessible. And then eventually there will be a wall behind there, and there will be some higher shelves as well because the roof goes up quite high. So, you know, slow going, but we're getting there. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. That corner being bad and having to organise it, and I don't know. Squirrel number 1 at least for the day. So yeah, so I did come out here nice and early with the intent to make my English muffins, but I'm not going to do them today. It's not the right day to be doing them. So what I might do is go back inside for the moment, have a look at the schoolwork that needs sorting. I do have a couple of orders outstanding. I was waiting on some new filament for some tissue holders, and I think I've got all that sorted now. It just needs to be boxed up and posted. So I also saw before Christmas, Gavin ordered a family tree that I did, and I sent through a proof and I didn't get a response, but I did get a response. It's just that for some reason it went to my junk mail and I didn't find it. It went to like the back end junk mail. I don't know why, because it was a reply to an email that I sent. Anyway, I didn't get that organized. I have now replied, Gavin, if you're watching this, and said, and the corrections that you made I didn't make because I didn't see them, but I am more than happy to recut that tree for you in that new layout. So just send me a message and I've put you on my read, you know, so it doesn't go to junk mail, but I will keep an eye on my junk mail as well to see if you respond, though I haven't checked it in the last couple of days and you may have already responded. But anyway, I am happy to do that. So get in contact with me if you want me to recut that. You can always contact me on Facebook or Instagram as well. But I have a couple of tissue holders and stuff to do as well, some pot holders and stuff too, I think. So I need to get those sorted and posted. But yes, for the moment I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go and finish my coffee since I'm not making English muffins, and then figure out what else I want to do for the day. All right, so Darryl isn't back with the beef yet, so what I'm just going to quickly do is, it's coming up to 2 o'clock, so he will be only just hitting Clifton now, so he'll still be an hour away. I pulled a 2-kilo bag of chicken breasts out of the freezer the other day that I was going to use for something, didn't end up using them. So these have been defrosted. They're still a little icy, but they're defrosted. I'm going to brine these and roast them, and then we've got them to use for multiple things over the next few days. So I've got all of these breasts here done. That needs to be rinsed. I've got probably a bit more water than I need, but that's fine. About 4 litres of water with about a cup of salt and a couple of tablespoons of cracked black pepper in it. And all I'm going to do is place these in here. All right. And then I'm going to put the lid on these and I'm going to let them brine for about 30 minutes. After that, I'm going to throw them in the oven with some spices. So the water is just room temp so that the salt would dissolve. 30 minutes in here will bring them to room temp in the brine, and then we'll put them in the oven for about 25 minutes. All right, so it's been about half an hour. I've got some paper towel here, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull a breast out of the water, of the brine. We're going to pat it off and place it in the tray, and then I've got some seasonings. So I'm just going to get the excess brine off. Some people rinse them. I'm not going to rinse them because a little bit of salt's not a bad thing on the surface. I went light on the salt in the seasoning, and I used flaked salt, so not a fine salt. So I do think I'll probably need 2 baking trays to spread these out in though, because we don't want to crowd them too much because we want it to cook nice and evenly. And these are fairly small breasts actually. This pack of frozen breasts are fairly small ones. So we only want to cook them for like 20-25 minutes. So I've already got the oven preheating. I don't know if I mentioned that. A lot of these recipes say to cut all the fat off too, but I'm not, because fat's flavour. So that's got 5 in there. I'm going to grab another tray for the other ones. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle these with this mix. Now this is a little bit of, as I said, flaked salt, crushed black pepper, smoked paprika, garlic powder, and a little bit of sugar, because sugar helps to create a bit of a crust. And I'm just going to lightly sprinkle both sides, and then I will move them around in the tray and pick up any of the spices that were missed. The rest can go in a jar. Alright, so I'm just going to pat them on so that they have a coating, but they don't need to have an excessive coating. Just some seasoning on all of it. I was thinking I might do pesto pasta for dinner, though we may end up eating some steak. When I sort that beef out, we might, pick the I fill it out to eat tonight or something as a bit of a treat. But yeah, that's all I'm going to do. Like that, into a preheated oven, about 180 for about 25 minutes, and then they'll be done. So yeah, I'll do the other ones and I'll show them to you when they're done. All right, they're at 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let them finish the last of their cooking. I'm going to foil both trays and keep the heat in while they just finish that last bit of cooking. And then I'll show them to you when I slice them up. All right, Darryl should be home in the next 10 minutes, so I was just going to show you the chicken. So this is what it looks like inside. Nice and moist and tasty, and we will use this. We might do, I said, pesto pasta for dinner tonight maybe with some of it, but it can be used on those English muffins that I bake tomorrow or whatever. So I will probably end up slicing it all up and mixing it in with the juices in the bottom of the pan and storing it in the fridge to be used. But this is what it comes out like. These lovely pieces of cooked chicken. Alrighty, so this is our Harvard cow. Now I'm going to lay it all out and tell you what it all is, but I'm going to then just put it straight in the fridge and pull it out piece by piece tomorrow to get this all sorted. So we have standard beef mince. I don't know how much is here exactly. I will check it out when I bag it up, because this looks like it's only in, what, 1 lots? I'm not sure. So we will bag all this up and get it into some better sizes for us to go in the freezer. This slightly red coloured mince is the sausage mince. So I said don't bother putting it in sausage skins because I'm not a huge fan of beef sausages, but we will use this to make things like sausage rolls and stuff like that. So it does have the sausage blend spices that they would use for plain sausages, the starches and stuff in it, but it's because it has to be minced finer because it's sausage mince. So this is the lower quality mince that gets turned into sausages. So they've put it in bags for us, and we will do whatever we want to do with it. I have a bag with all the tail pieces in it. There is 3 silver sides. We've got the square cuts and the long cut of silver side, which we will do something with. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topside roasts, so they're cut into these portions, whatever weight they are. Again, I will have a look when I'm doing what I'm doing. Some of these will be turned into jerky, some of them will be turned into diced beef, some of them will be roasted. We will do whatever, a variety of things with these. So there's 6 of those. We have the two briskets, the point brisket and the flat brisket. Those 2 big pieces, I will probably end up cutting them in half before I freeze them. And cooking them in halves. We'll see how we go. We have a couple of bags of osso buco. So these make really good stews with the bone in. They're the cuts that have the real nice marrow bones in the middle. So when you slow cook them and make, you can make ragouts and all sorts of things out of them. And the marrow from those bones comes out. It's very tasty. There is an eye fillet, which is of course going to be eaten fairly quickly because it's eye fillet and we very rarely can afford that kind of thing. Y-bones steaks and T-bone steaks, just a whole bunch of those off the animal. This appears to be the full ribs, so there must be short, there's some ribs here too, so these might be the short ribs and they're the standard ribs, I'm not sure, but it's all folded up in a bag. Again, we'll cut that down and figure out what we're going to do with it. We have a big blade roast here as well. We have 2 bags of dog bones and a bag of split bones for stock. A big chuck that is all in one big piece that I will cut and do what I need to do with it. A big rib fillet as well, and some packs of fat to render to tallow to use as well. So that is 107 kilos of half a steer. All right, it is Monday. It's already 10:30. This week is going to be hard. I started editing a video last night, but ended up crashing before I got it out. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I used to always put videos out at 7:30 in the morning because I'd edit them the night before, upload them overnight. I don't know if that's gonna work consistently now, though maybe in winter it will because we'll be inside earlier. I don't know. I may have to create a bit of a different schedule for videos to come out and figure it out. If anyone has any feedback on when they think is a good time for them to come out, then let me know. But I might need to, you know, I have crossed a lot of time zones. So putting them out at the best Australian time isn't necessarily the best for everyone because I cross a lot of time zones. So I don't know. Anyway, consistency would be nice. If I could put them out at the same time a few days a week, that would be just ideal, no matter what time it was. Anyway, we will eventually get there. So Darryl cleaned the chamber vacuum sealer for me this morning before he started his D&D game this morning. So he did that this morning, but I have spent the morning printing off the assessments for the kids for the week. I had a bunch of transcription typing to get done, so I needed to get that done before I'm unavailable for the next few days. I still haven't finished my inventory yet or my online shopping or anything yet, so that's still to be done. But what I need to get done today is that meat sorted. It needs to be sorted and either vacuum sealed or frozen before I leave because I'm going to be bringing groceries back. So now I was going to make some English muffins, so that's what I'm going to do. They're a bit time consuming, but they just work. They're one of the bread, like I'm a little bit fussy about my bread products. I'm not a fan of them after the first day of a lot of things, but there's certain things that just reheat better than others. One of them is sourdough, but I'm not doing sourdough at the moment, though I am going to endeavour over the next shopping period to work on some artisan type loaves to do a similar sort of thing as we get into the cooler season and are eating bread more, eating soup and stuff more often. But English muffins reheat really well. Scrolls reheat really well, or they're really nice cold because they have the richness of whatever the filling is in them. The baguettes work quite well because so long as you don't cut them open, but they do get a little bit crumbly. and hamburger buns work okay as well. But again, I'm not as much of a fan of them the next day, and they don't necessarily, the baguettes work really well when you reheat them in the oven, like as a garlic bread or whatever. But the English muffins just work really well toasted. Like you put them in the jaffler and they just work. So that's what we're sticking with at the moment. So I'm going to make a big batch of those up and cook them off, and then we'll have them for lunch today as well as in the freezer. And then I have to work on the meat. I did see, I don't know who else watches him, but Alton Brown cooks food. I love Alton Brown, and I've actually found copies of the first like 15 seasons of Good Eats that he did, and I've been slowly working my way through it. Anyway, one of the most recent ones he did was Sloppy Joes. Now, I've never done Sloppy Joes. I've seen the recipe and thought it sounds really good, but it just didn't really appeal, the whole wet meat on bread thing. It just wasn't, but I would eat it as like I eat like chili type things or bolognese type things, scooping up with bread, but I don't know about serving it on bread. But he made filled ones. So he made a nice thick sloppy joe mix, and then he filled them in buns like I do with the pork buns or with pizza buns and things like that. So I'm definitely going to give that a go with some of that mint. Not today. I contemplated it, but not today. But I'm definitely going to give that a go. Because I like the idea of all those flavors inside that bread. And then because it's inside the bread, if you froze it and then stuck those bread rolls in the oven too, I think that would work really well. We are in the process of getting the extra solar up as well, which means that I think we'll be able to pull the air fryer out and have that available to a degree. Still not extensive use and still have to be aware of it, but I think it will be usable for some things, which would be nice. Going to have a think about things, but first up I'm going to mix up the English muffin dough. The recipe is on the website. You have seen me do it a few times. I will just mix it up off camera, and I might talk while I'm like shaping things and stuff once I figure out what I need to go over. And then I'm going to have to figure out this beef, so I'm going to have to pull out vacuum seal bags and cut them all up and get sealed and stuff for the meat, and figure out what sizing I can do, because I should have bought some more vacuum seal bags. I don't know what I've got here, but it's too late now. So some stuff can go in Ziploc bags and we'll just suck the air out of the Ziploc bags. Not ideal, but it will be feasible if need be. I'd prefer to get it all vacuum sealed, but we will see how we go. I've decided what I'm doing with all that sausage mince too. I didn't want it in sausage casings because I'm just not a fan of beef sausages. And it's got, the emulsifiers and stuff in it. So it's not, I'll figure it out. I'm going to have a think. Anyway, let me mix up the English muffin dough. Let me just, step by step. So unfortunately, I'm even worse off than I realised in regards to vacuum seal. All I've got is these two rolls, which are suitable for either the home vacuum or the vacuum sealer. That's fine. I can use them in both. I'll cut them off. I'll use the Aldi vacuum sealer to seal the first side, and then I'll use them in the vacuum sealer. And only a bag of the really small chamber vacuum ones. So that appears to be, I've gone looking, and that looks like all I've got at the moment. So I've just got onto Amazon and ordered some bigger sizes. But the problem is that sometimes it might hit town by tomorrow or Wednesday. But we don't normally go to the post office again while I'm gone. Can make a special trip of an afternoon, potentially tomorrow afternoon, but Wednesday I've got a long day. I could do it Thursday morning, but again, it's kind of pointless because I'm not going to be coming back to do this. So I'm going to do what I can. I do have medium freezer bags and large freezer bags. So worst comes worst, we stick them in the freezer bags. Even if I then transfer it to vacuum seal bags later, that might be what I need to do. And some of the roasts can just go in freezer bags with the air pulled out as much as possible and sit in the bottom of that fridge, and then when I come back on Saturday or whatever, I can vacuum seal them up and stick them in the freezer, because beef can sit in the fridge for a couple of weeks before it's an issue. So anyway, that's just life. I should have thought about it, and I didn't. This dough is pretty much ready to shape into English muffins to get on the trays, so we might start doing that next. I probably want to bake all these off before I start pulling raw meat out everywhere. So yes, today's going to be a little bit tricky. I need to get as much of that meat as possible in the freezer, but yeah, I didn't plan that very well. So in the meantime, I'll get this dough shaped. Now, I don't cut my English muffin dough. If you seen me make it before, and it's on the website, I shape it into round. My SD card ran out, so I've shaped all of these. So I just do my English muffins really gently into balls. I find that it's easier than rolling, cutting, because you have to let the dough relax and stuff in between. And then I just gently flatten it in a little pile of semolina and put them on a tray. So this is the last three. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 24, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. So we get 47 to 48 out of a batch at around the 75 to 90 grams. These last ones are about 75. Most of the rest are about 90 because that's just how it worked out. So yeah, each batch does about 24 of them, and we end up with around about 48. So all of them are on their trays. What I have done is, all right, let's get this out of the way. I need to find the last few trays that I've got, because I have some covered. So this was the last lot that I shaped. This was the second last lot, third last lot, and the first lot are pretty much ready to go in the pan. So I will get these cooking off now. All right, it is already 22 or 10 to 1. All the English muffins have been cooked. The last three are just on the pan now, but that's all of these ones cooked up. So we will have some lunch. I've got the chicken that I brined yesterday, so we'll have some chicken and cheese maybe on them, or whatever they want on them. But these are done to cool before I'll halve them and freeze the excess, and the last three are on the pan. And then I'm going to come back and start vacuum sealing all the meat. All right, it's 5:10. It's late. It's really lucky that we've got steak for dinner, and I can just do steak for the kids and I and Darryl. I figured out that 2 lines on these will fit one of these bags of mince. So each bag of mince is around about 1 kilo. So all I'm doing is cutting off some bags from the roll in the two line sections. I'm sealing one end with the Aldi vacuum sealer, because I still haven't figured out how you seal without vacuuming using the other vacuum sealer. And then I'm sliding in the 1 kilo of mince, squishing it a bit squarer and flatter for storage and defrosting purposes, like that. But leaving some gaps for the air to be sucked out. And then I'm sealing it in the chamber vacuum sealer. So let me move you a bit. So then I have the chamber vacuum sealer, which I've just got on the trolley at the moment, out of the way. So all I then do is place it in, make sure that the sealing spot overlaps, close the lid, it creates a vacuum. I have a whole video on how this works. I got it gifted to me through Vivor, so I did a whole video on it. I love it. It's very large and bulky, and I really need somewhere that it stores more easily, because at the moment I don't use it anywhere near as much as I should, purely because it's just difficult to use. But when we rearrange the kitchen, the plan is that it will be more accessible. So once it's done, that's it. It's got a seal along the top. Air has been vacuumed out, and we have beef. Now the vacuum sealer, the thing that the chamber vacuum sealer works so much better for than the suction ones, like the Aldi ones, which work perfectly well, is that it's not sucking the air out, which means that you don't have the issues with liquid. So you can use the chamber vacuum sealer for liquid like straight liquid. You can vacuum seal lemon juice, all sorts of things. And I tested that out in that video, so I'll try and remember to link it. So I'm going to go through and do all the mince. Now I think there was about like 10 or 15 kilos of plain mince and 10 or 15 kilos of sausage mince. I don't know if I'm going to have enough bags, but I'm going to try and get this bagged up to start with. If the roasts have to go into Ziploc bags for the moment until I get some bigger bags, then that's life, but at least this will be sorted. So I'm just going to keep on going. Alrighty, it is 6:15 and I'm done. I'd so intended to get more done today and I haven't, but I'll figure it out. I'll have to do some stuff tomorrow after I get home from work. And just, yeah, it was 36 degrees today. We've all got the cold that Darryl brought home, and yeah, anyway. But I had enough vacuum seal bags that I only had to put 2 lots of mince in Ziploc bags, so that was really good. So I got 20 kilos of plain mince and 15 kilos of the sausage mince. So they are all vacuum sealed in the freezer now, which is a really good step. A lot of the other stuff can last weeks in the fridge if it had to. I don't want it to because we've got groceries coming, so I will bag it up. But yeah, I ordered the new vacuum seal bags off Amazon, and at the moment it's saying it'll be delivered to the post office on Wednesday, which is pretty normal for Amazon stuff, which is great. But I probably can't get them Wednesday afternoon because I have a conference on Wednesday in Goondiwindi, so by the time I get home from work it'll be too late. But I can pick them up on Thursday morning on the way through to Mum's, which means that I'll have them for the chicken that I plan to buy in the groceries. So we will see. I will just use Ziploc bags if I have to, and then I will re-vacuum seal stuff up later. I think that's how it's going to have to go. And that's just life. I might fill a bucket of water when I'm putting in the Ziploc bag so I can do the displacement method to get the air out of the Ziploc bags, get as much as possible out. But yeah, so I'm going to cook up some steaks for dinner. I'm going to do some mashed potato, steamed veg and some steaks. Darryl and I will finish off that eye fillet, and then I'll probably cook some of the Ys for the kids for them to try. So that is it from me, and I will see you guys on the next one.